Exclusive contract with Feilu Novel Network Novel. Siheyuan. Home with a fierce wife, escaped from 49 cities. Li Jianguo's soul pierced through refugees, picked up a daughter.In.Law and got married, and merged into the Red Star Courtyard in Nanluogu Lane. Faced with his family of outsiders, beasts are eyeing him with all kinds of tricks. Li Jianguo was just about to take action, and his gentle and charming little daughter.In.Law changed her style from loli to incredibly fierce. Zhang's mischievous and unruly behavior sent her back to the west. The deaf old lady pretends to be deaf and mute, and all the secrets are cleaned up. Zhonghai pulls the crossbar, I can't kill you. The little daughter.In.Law stirred up the quadrangle. Li Jianguo collected negative emotions and cashed in, his wife and children heated up the kang, and his life was so rich that it flowed like oilFeilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Picking up Jiaoniang on the escape road. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the winter of 1959. Heavy snow is falling and the cold wind is piercing. In a dilapidated earthen kiln on the outskirts of the city of 49, a pale-faced, delicate but extremely beautiful girl was now looking pitifully at Li Jianguo with tears in her eyes. Brother, can you take me with you? Please, I'll die alone, I won't be able to survive. Please, let me follow you. I'm willing to be a cow or a horse. The little girl was ragged all over, but her hair was black and shiny. Although her face was dirty, her eyes were bright and lively, and there was a tear mole at the corner of her eye. Her eyes were gentle and soft, filled with pity and helplessness, which made people feel heartbroken. Li Jianguo lifted his head and sighed helplessly. Is there such a sad urge? Just after paying off his mortgage, he danced on a big stage and woke up in this place. Memories surfaced, and he only realized that his soul had penetrated into the famine era. He was originally from the south, and his parents and brothers starved to death due to famine. He fled north with a single breath and was about to reach the 49 cities. However, he still couldn't bear it and starved to death in this earthen kiln. The little girl in front of him was the first person he saw after his soul pierced. After sighing, Li Jianguo spoke out. Little sister, it's not that I don't take you, I'm also a refugee. How can I take you and die with you? The little girl was crying with tears on her face, delicate and pitiful. Her lips were bitten open, and her face was filled with helplessness and confusion. Li Jianguo's heart ached slightly. He is also very helpless. It is now a time of famine, and no one can eat enough, with people starving everywhere. Although he has traveled through time, in this situation, he may be the next one to starve to death. There is no one left in this predicament of soul-piercing. In the future, one still needs to keep a low profile and be unlucky. Li Jianguo let out another sigh. At this moment, the little girl on the side pounced and plunged into Li Jianguo's arms. Brother, even if I die, I am willing to follow you. I don't want to be alone anymore. Yaya is so scared. Please, can you bring me along? I'll be your daughter.In.Law, I'll be your cow and horse, and I'll have children for you. Brother, if you don't bring me, I. The little girl lifted her head, stubbornly refusing to let tears flow, gritted her teeth, and continued with a face full of despair. Brother, if I leave you, I will have to die. Ding. A strong negative emotion has been detected. Negative emotions redemption system binding. Binding successful. Note. Only by accumulating negative emotions can rewards be redeemed in this system. Redeem once for 1,000 negative emotions. May I ask if the host has opened the beginner's gift package? Li Jianguo was stunned for a moment, and a wave of joy surged in his heart. Although it was unlucky to wear it on a refugee, God still favors him. Here comes the essential golden finger for travelers. No matter how much it is. He believes he will survive. Open the beginner's gift pack. Li Jianguo said in his heart. Ding. The beginner gift pack has been successfully opened. Congratulations to the host for receiving a reward of endless personal space. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the divine level hunting skill as a reward. For a long time, Li Jianguo's smile froze. Is this the only 2 gift packages for beginners? Is it done? He thought he was getting some food to fill his stomach or something. As a result, with a portable space and a hunting skill, it's all done. Goo goo. My belly sang the empty city plan. The original body was starving to death, and the stomach was so empty that it was afraid of running out of bitter bile. This horse rider is going to give him all the trouble. At this moment, the little girl in her arms looked up at Li Jianguo with tearful eyes. It's like making some kind of decision. The little girl gritted her teeth and trembled as she spoke. Brother, you go. Go find something to eat, I won't be your burden anymore. Brother, hurry up and leave. Words fall, tears roll down. Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Negative emotions plus 200. Li Jianguo glanced at the crying little girl and felt an unbearable feeling in his heart. So weak and pitiful, if you leave her behind, maybe she won't be able to live anymore soon. He can't do it. But at this moment, he needs to go get something to eat. Otherwise, they will all die here. It is now the year of famine, and the bark and roots of the trees in his original hometown have been dug out to eat. Although there are these, he cannot eat them. Now that the mountains are covered in heavy snow, it is not easy to come hunting. After thinking about it, he has an endless space. Li Jianguo decided to take a look at the space. But this thing needs to avoid the little girl first. So Li Jianguo immediately stood up and walked out. Negative emotions plus 100. Negative emotions plus 200. System prompts ring in my mind. Li Jianguo was taken aback and realized that it was from a little girl. So without explanation, I found a hidden place after leaving the earthen kiln, and with a thought, I entered my personal space. There is a lot of space to carry around, and it's endless at a glance. There are mountains and water, and a small clear spring with flowing water. Li Jianguo stepped forward and took a sip of water, which was refreshing and sweet. With just one sip, his spirit improved significantly. As the clear spring passed, Li Jianguo saw a big mountain, and there were still gurgling sounds coming from the forest. It's a wild chicken. I can't die now, the food has a place to go. Li Jianguo entered the forest with a nimble figure. When he came out again, he already had a wild rabbit and 2 wild chickens in his hand. Ding. Negative emotions accumulate to 1000. May I ask the host if they want to redeem the prize? Is it 1000 so fast? Li Jianguo was a bit worried and quickly left his personal space to rush to the cave. Redeem the prize. Ding. The prize has been successfully redeemed. Congratulations to the host for receiving 1 diesel lighter as a reward. Reward income in personal space, all sources are legal, please use with confidence. Although it's not food, fire is also quite important. Li Jianguo is quite satisfied. Hurriedly returning to the cave, I saw the little girl curled up in a corner trembling, her beautiful face covered in tears, her crying body trembling, and her agile eyes filled with dead ash. Li Jianguo's heart pricked for a moment and quickly spoke out. Yaya, come and help me quickly. The little girl was taken aback and looked up in disbelief. Li Jianguo has already become proficient in handling wild animals, skinning, and handling internal organs. A bloody smell came from the small cave dwelling. Looking up at the girl with big eyes open and motionless, Li Jianguo smiled. Are you foolish? I'm coming back to my senses. Li Jianguo waved his hand at the little girl and thought for a moment, then smiled and said. Are your previous words still true? Is that the phrase, be my daughter? In law. As soon as Li Jianguo finished speaking, the little girl pounced and plunged into his arms. I am willing, brother, I am willing. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. First arriving at 49 cities. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The little girl is soft and sticky, but her words are powerful and powerful. Li Jianguo grinned. Inquire. How old is it? Can we get married now? It looks like it's still young, so I guess we'll have to raise it for a few more years. Just as Li Jianguo thought about it, the girl lifted her head and looked at him with some hesitation. After a moment of pause, Li Jianguo listened to the little girl. I'm over 18 now. If I can provide a certificate, we can get married. Li Jianguo is a bit skeptical. The girl has a small body and a delicate face, which doesn't look big. However, they are still on the run and it is not practical to provide proof. We will discuss this matter later. Now, fill your stomach first. Li Jianguo smiled and said. Alright, let's not talk about this for now. Let's see what I've done. Yaya looked at the prey in Li Jianguo's hand and jumped up in surprise. It's a wild rabbit, and there's also a wild chicken. Hello brother, you're amazing. Li Jianguo had a smile on his face. Go pick up some firewood, let's bake and eat. Yaya nodded vigorously and immediately went out to look for firewood. After half a sound, he came in holding a handful of dry firewood, but looked at Li Jianguo with some difficulty. Brother, there are wild animals and firewood. Is there a fire? Li Jianguo has already cleaned up all the prey and put it on the tree. Wen Yan took out a lighter from the tattered liberation bag on his body. Click twice. The lighter emitted sparks. Yaya looked surprised. Li Jianguo explained. I brought it with me when I left home. Upon hearing this, Yaya didn't say much and quickly came over to help. The hare and pheasant cooked quickly. Although there was no seasoning, both of them were extremely hungry and ate very well. Most of the wild rabbits entered Li Jianguo's stomach, and Yaya ate a rabbit leg and some wild chickens, then rubbed her stomach with satisfaction. Brother, Yaya is so full. Li Jianguo wiped Yaya's lips with his cuffs before laughing. Follow me, I will never let you go hungry in the future. Upon hearing these words, Yaya happily leaned on the past. Swearing solemnly. Even if I die, I still want to be with my brother. Li Jianguo reached out and flicked Yaya's forehead, speechless. Pooh, don't talk nonsense. The good days haven't passed yet, let alone die or not. Yaya nodded vigorously upon hearing the words. Listen to my brother, I will always listen to him in the future. Perhaps with support, Yaya quickly fell asleep with Li Jianguo. Just as he fell asleep and tightly grasped Li Jianguo's sleeve, a hint of unease appeared between his eyebrows. Li Jianguo comforted her in the ear. I'll treat you as my wife now, and I won't leave you behind in the future. Sleep peacefully. Upon hearing this, Yaya's body relaxed slightly. Li Jianguo stood up and added fire to the fire, and the earth kiln gradually warmed up. Turning around and covering Yaya with tattered clothes, Li Jianguo began to contemplate the next path. Famine is spreading throughout the country, and the people are struggling to make ends meet. However, the 4 or 9 cities are at the feet of the emperor, and although food is scarce, it is not enough to starve to death. Many people fleeing from famine are heading north because there are rescue stations, and various towns and streets will help distribute refugees, arrange rescue work, arrange accommodation, and so on. Set off at dawn tomorrow, targeting 4 or 9 cities. First, go to the rescue station and see if you can find a job and find a place to settle down. I feel like sleeping when my stomach is full. It was snowing heavily outside and cold to the bone. Inside the earthen kiln, firewood was burning, and at the door, a corn pole was used to block the wind. It was warm, and after a while, Li Jianguo also fell asleep. Open your eyes again, it's already the second day. Yaya has already woken up, but still obediently leaned against Li Jianguo's arms. Li Jianguo scraped her face and smiled as he spoke. We have to hurry today, is that okay? Yaya shook her head and said sweetly. Just be with your brother. The girl is soft and delicate, especially charming. Not to mention, Li Jianguo feels like he's just eating this kind of thing. Yesterday I had too much to eat, and Li Jianguo didn't have time to go hunting in his personal space, so he took Yaya along the railway to the city. Another day and night, the two of them followed the blindly flowing army into the rescue station. In order to avoid trouble, Li Jianguo falsely claimed that Yaya was his sister. In this era, the relationship between men and women is very strict. Couples have to maintain a distance outside, afraid of being defined as hooligans if they accidentally do, and then they need to reflect and reform, and so on. The person at the rescue station said that there have been too many refugees heading north recently. If the 4 or 9 cities cannot digest it, most of them will be repatriated to their hometowns. Everyone has come, there are so many troubles in repatriating their homeland. Li Jianguo thought for a moment and immediately came to Director Yi, the person in charge of the rescue station. Director Yi, what's the job? It's not good for my sister and I to live and eat here for free. I want to help with the work. If you want to stay, you must be diligent. After all, no one likes lazy people. Director Yi smiled upon hearing Li Jianguo's words. But before she could speak, a disheveled man rushed towards her. Everyone step on the horse and don't move. If you move again, I'll stab her to death. The man imprisoned Director Yi, holding a sharpened bamboo strip against her neck. Director Yi was instantly paralyzed and his eyes were filled with fear. What are you doing? I came here in one breath, but you said you wanted to send me back. There are refugees everywhere, can we still survive without here? Send me back, I'll be the first to stab you to death and pull a cushion. Listen carefully, Director Ye's forehead is sweating. Stuttering. This is the policy above, it's not my decision, I can't do anything about it either. You let me go, we have something to say. Director Yi and the man were discussing. Li Jianguo raised his eyebrows. This person is here to give away heads, right? Absolutely friendly. Suddenly, Li Jianguo, with his agile figure, rushed towards the man, waving his hand like killing prey and punching him on the shoulder. Ah! With a scream, the man fell to the ground in response. Li Jianguo helped Director Yi, who almost fainted, and asked with concern. Director Yi, are you okay? Director Yi patted his heart and didn't recover for a long time. Dog thing, what are you helping her with? We all have to be deported back. We are all dead ends. Ah, there's a dead end. Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Negative emotions plus 500. The man is very angry. Li Jianguo sighed. If you want to stay, you can find a way, but you have to go to extremes. The man was quickly dragged down. Director Yi also regained his composure and came to thank Li Jianguo. Jianguo, thank you very much today. I really didn't expect this. Hey. I sympathize with everyone too, but I can't do anything about the policies above. Director Yi looked helpless and explained for a while. Immediately whispered to Li Jianguo. Don't worry, you and your sister can definitely stay. I will find a way to help you. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Wife Allocation and First Battle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Jianguo's eyes lit up as he did a beautiful job. And Yaya successfully stayed at the rescue station. Li Jianguo knew that in order to root in the 4 or 9 cities, he had to work hard. Most of the refugees who were to be repatriated were at a loss, not knowing where to go next. So they all huddled together, not knowing what they could do. Li Jianguo is different. The car brought supplies, and he would rush to the front to grab the goods. When the kitchen was busy, he would rush in and take action. Even Yaya was diligent in helping. Both of them didn't sit and eat until death, which made Director Yi very satisfied. Jianguo, I'll find acquaintances to help you keep an eye on the job quotas assigned by each factory. Don't worry, Auntie will definitely let you take root in the 49 cities. Li Jianguo was unloading goods at the door, relying on his strength to carry 2 bags at a time, and his whole body was covered in muscles. Upon hearing this, he smiled and said, "Thank you very much, Director Yi. I will definitely perform well and not make it difficult for you." Director Yi has a loving expression on his face. "Call me Auntie, you and your sister are both diligent and good children." It can be seen that Director Yi likes himself and Yaya very much. Li Jianguo was not too reserved and responded with a smile. "Auntie." Director Yi smiled again. At this moment, Yaya also leaned in and said sweetly, "Auntie, thank you to my brother and me." Director Yi touched Yaya's head and smiled kindly. "Good child. I will arrange your brother's affairs, and then it's yours. If we don't repatriate our country of origin, we can only find someone to get married. Nowadays, with tight policies and too many refugees, it's difficult for men to stay, but it's different for women. We have arranged resettlement targets in various parts of our 4 or 9 cities, from small courtyards to courtyard houses. Men of appropriate age who are unmarried can come to the rescue station to take a woman home. Yaya, come with me." Yaya was dumbfounded, and her smile instantly solidified on her face. Li Jianguo was also stunned. Assign wives. Is this a characteristic of the times? But special, this wife is his. Although there is no evidence to prove it, he has come here with Yaya all the way, and he has already determined that this is his future wife. Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Tears welled up in Yaya's eyes. Li Jianguo didn't unload the goods anymore, so he quickly came over to Director Yi. Just as I was about to speak, a shout rang out. "Hey, there's such a beautiful girl in this place. Grandpa Yi, it's just her. I'll take her back to be my wife." Li Jianguo looked around and saw a shabby-looking man spitting in his hand and wiping his head. Then, stepping on his feet, he approached them with a pretense of elegance. "Sister, my name is Heyuzhu. I work in the cafeteria of the Red Star steel rolling plant, with a monthly salary of 47.58 yuan. I live in number 95 of the Red Star Courtyard." Silly Zhu stared at Yaya, his eyes straight. Introduce oneself with a clang clang clang. The girl is young and beautiful, and her figure looks good. This is no worse than Qinhuai. The resettlement indicators arranged by the street, he just came for a temporary walk. I didn't expect to meet such a beautiful woman again. The silly pillar almost spilled his saliva. Zhonghai's face darkened behind him and he came over to speak. "Pillar, I haven't learned about it yet. Aren't you afraid to bring a hot potato back?" Upon hearing this, silly pillar immediately restrained himself and nodded. Mr. Yi's reminder is correct. Immediately, silly Zhu looked at Director Yi with a smile and muttered. "Director Yi, can you tell me about her situation?" Heyuzhu, Grandpa 1. Li Jianguo looked at the two in surprise. "I have watched a TV drama before, called Love Full Courtyard. But he called it a courtyard full of birds. Because the characters in the drama can be said to be all beasts and animals. Heyuzhu, the god of war in the courtyard, is also known as the foolish pillar. Zhonghai, the moral benchmark, is also known as the first uncle, and Lu Haizhong, the official fan, is known as the second uncle. Yan Bugui, the scheming third uncle, is also known as the official fan. It can't be just these two. What he wears is actually this world of film and television. Li Jianguo is still in a state of shock. Director Yi on the side has already spoken. Who are you? Director Yi is not satisfied with the tone in which Silly Zhu speaks. Being bossy and commanding. I am at least a street chief. Why listen to his orders? Silly Zhu stared at Yaya and was taken aback by the words. He frowned and said displeased. Didn't your street notify us to come and collect people? Here we go, let's talk about the situation. If I take a bad ingredient back, then I'll have to suffer a loss. Director Ye's face turned cold and he spoke seriously. Since it's a resettlement indicator, we have all implemented it. Are you questioning our street's inadequate work? Just as Silly Zhu was about to shout a few words, Zhonghai quickly tried to smooth the situation. Director Yi, pillar, doesn't mean that. This child is just an old man who can't speak, otherwise he wouldn't have married a wife at his age. Don't have the same opinion as him. Li Jianguo really hammered it. This is how the old yin-yang person easily enters the sea. But it's not his business. Li Jianguo turned his head to look at Yaya. The little girl had tears in her eyes, bit her lips, and looked at herself pitifully and nervously. Li Jianguo's heart softened. Brother. Yaya Nua's mouth. Look at Li Jianguo with your mouth. Yaya is your daughter. Law. Li Jianguo's heart has softened even more. Block Yaya behind and look at Director Yi before speaking up. Director Yi, I'm sorry I lied to you. Yaya is not my sister, she is my daughter. Law. Director Yi, please approve our marriage. Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Negative emotions plus 200. What are you saying? Bunny, you're robbing me and my wife, why did I kill you? When the prompt sounded in his mind, the sound of Silly Pillar jumping like thunder rang out. Li Jianguo looked up, and the Silly Pillar had already rushed towards him. Li Jianguo's face turned cold, and he swung his fist, hitting Silly Zhu's head. A sweeping leg passed by, and Silly Pillar instantly fell to the ground. Clean your mouth, Yaya didn't agree to come with you. Silly Zhu grinned in pain and looked fiercely at Li Jianguo. I'm fighting with you. Upon seeing this, Zhonghai quickly grabbed the Silly Pillar and advised him. Don't be impulsive, your fate is not here, don't cause trouble. Finally, Zhonghai looked at Director Yi and said. Director Yi, it seems that our hospital can only arrange for others to come. I'll take Silly Pillar back first. Zhonghai pulled the Silly Pillar and left. Silly Zhu looked at Li Jianguo with a face full of unwillingness. Son of a bitch, wait for me. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Marriage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Silly Zhu was dragged away by Zhonghai. Li Jianguo didn't take it seriously. I didn't take him seriously. What needs to be solved now is the issue of marrying Yaya. So, Li Jianguo looked apologetically at Director Yi. Director Yi, we didn't mean to conceal it, we had to do it as a last resort. Li Jianguo talked about everything about meeting Yaya. Director Yi smiled at the words and looked at Li Jianguo. You are a kind-hearted child. Turning his head, Director Yi looked at Yaya again. Can you tell me about your family situation? Upon hearing this, Yaya gave me a timid glance. When looking at Director Yi again, his mouth deflated and tears began to fall one by one. I'm sorry, I forgot about the past. I don't remember anything except my brother. Director Yi was somewhat surprised upon hearing this. After watching Yaya for a moment, Director Yi pulled me aside. Negative emotions plus 100. Jianguo, Yaya's situation is a bit complicated. She has lost her memory, so we cannot investigate her background. If we get married, there is a risk. Director Yi is really worried about Li Jianguo. This child is diligent. In this era, the issue of composition is highly valued. Yaya is a poor farmer, but she is afraid of having any other identity, which will cause trouble. Upon hearing this, Li Jianguo felt a little warm in his heart and looked up in the direction of Yaya. The girl's eyes were red, cowardly and pitiful as she looked at herself. Brother. Li Jianguo remembered his promise and comforted the girl with a smile. Then he turned his head and said to Director Yi. Director Yi, Yaya will only be my daughter.In.Law. Director Yi saw the firmness in Li Jianguo's eyes and sighed helplessly. Jianguo, I hope you won't regret it. Turning around, Director Yi waved at Yaya. You two come with me. Director Yi brought the two of them to the temporary office of the rescue station. Today, women's federations and civil affairs personnel are all present. After the allocation of indicators, people from all over the streets of the 4 or 9 cities came to see each other. If you see it right, you can directly stamp and obtain the certificate. Li Jianguo and Yaya quickly obtained their marriage certificate under Director Ye's arrangement. Yaya's face showed a brilliant smile, sweetly speaking. Brother, I'm your daughter.In.Law now. She shyly lowered her head as she spoke. Li Jianguo's heart warmed. In this world, he also has family. At night, Yaya fell asleep tired. Li Jianguo said contentedly in his heart. Exchange a prize. At the next moment, the prompt sound will come on. Ding. The prize has been successfully redeemed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the reward God-level combat skill. The skill is directly assigned to the host itself. Li Jianguo didn't feel much except for feeling a little lighter in his body. The incident that silly Zhu did today has accumulated a lot of negative emotions. Glancing at the attribute panel, there are still over 1,000 negative emotional points. So Li Jianguo continued on. Exchange it again. The prompt sounds again. Redemption successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the reward automatic planting device. It comes with 10 pounds of grain seeds. Automatic planting device. I'll go. Li Jianguo was a bit excited. He has a large personal space, which is very spacious. If he grows food, the yield will definitely not be low. This is really great news for him, who almost starved to death. Li Jianguo stayed up all night and walked out of the house with a urinal in hand as it was slightly light. After verifying yesterday, Director Yi gave the key to the warehouse to Li Jianguo, and that night he temporarily moved in with Yaya. There is a distance from the dry toilet here, and there are few people getting up to use the toilet at this time. So Li Jianguo poured out the urinal and cautiously dodged into his personal space. I was stunned as soon as I entered. The originally open and grassy area has been cultivated, and rows of green seedlings have grown in the field. That's right, it's just a green seedling. The prize was only redeemed last night, and this morning the seedlings have all grown out. Can this portable space accelerate plant growth? It's unbelievable. If that's the case, then his food should be harvested soon. Come in later to check the progress. Li Jianguo didn't stay much in his personal space and quickly dodged out. After Yaya got up, Li Jianguo took her to the kitchen to help. Today we won't unload the goods. Li Jianguo will help knead the dough, and Yaya will be responsible for lighting the fire. The mixed flour is made of corn flour and coarse grain flour. It is used to steam mantu. A refugee can be divided into one fist size one day, and the coarse grain can barely keep up. No sooner had mantu been cooked than Director Yi came. Jianguo, pack up and come with me quickly. I asked my relatives to find a job for you, and they need to see you for an interview. Director Yi leaned over and whispered in a low voice. It's the security department of the steel rolling mill. Entering the factory to work is like having an iron rice bowl. The factory allocates houses and implements household registration. Auntie is good to you, isn't she? Upon hearing this, Li Jianguo felt a surge of joy in his heart and quickly thanked him. Auntie, I really have no way to repay your great kindness. When Yaya and I settle down, I will definitely thank you well. Director Yi patted Li Jianguo's arm and said with a smile, all right, let's settle down first. Director Yi brought Li Jianguo to the interview venue. A large factory, Red Star Rolling Mill. Various slogans were posted everywhere at the entrance. No matter how busy production is, don't forget quality. Quality is in my heart, standards are in my mind, and craftsmanship is in my hands. Jianguo, I will be interviewing Deputy Director Li from the steel rolling mill later. My relatives have already taken care of it. You can rest assured to tell him. Li Jianguo and Director Yi arrived at the office area of the steel rolling mill. Director Yi was admonishing on the side. Li Jianguo nodded to remember that Director Yi had just knocked on the office door. At this moment, Silly Pillar rushed forward with great enthusiasm and stopped when he saw Li Jianguo. Oh, enemies have narrow paths. Silly Zhu glared at Li Jianguo, without any intention of seeking revenge. I have something to do today. I'll settle the accounts with you later. After speaking harshly to Li Jianguo, Silly Zhu came to the office door and kicked him away, shouting loudly. Li Matzi, why are you so shameless? Silly Zhu rushed into the office. Deputy Factory Director Li stood up with a gloomy expression. Silly Zhu went straight over and grabbed Deputy Factory Director Li by the collar, clenching his fist and ready to take action. Vice Factory Director Li's face suddenly turned black and he panicked. Silly Pillar, don't be impulsive. Li Jianguo raised his eyebrows. Silly Zhu, is this a gift for someone's head? You take advantage of female workers and threaten them. Those who step on horses are not good people. I have to teach you a lesson today. Li Jianguo saw that the opportunity had arrived. So he quickly stepped forward and grabbed Silly Zhu's fist. And, with a hard squeeze. Ah! Silly Zhu screamed in agony. Ding! Negative emotions plus 100. Negative emotions plus 200. Li Jianguo pulled forward and fell to his knees with a thud. Vice Factory Director Li breathed a sigh of relief and gave a direct order to Li Jianguo. Tie this bastard up with a rope. Li Jianguo followed suit. Silly Zhu was tied up, and Deputy Factory Director Li even blocked his mouth with smelly socks. Speak harshly. I am the Deputy Factory Director. As he finished speaking, he looked at Li Jianguo and Director Yi. Are you guys? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Joyful work, first arriving at a courtyard. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Director Yi ignored what had just happened and spoke with a smile. Deputy Factory Director Li, my name is Yi Qing from the street, and this is Li Jianguo. I brought him for the onboarding interview. Deputy Factory Director Li nodded and said. So it's my own person. Glancing at Li Jianguo, Deputy Factory Director Li squinted his eyes and said. So, Director Yi, you go back first, and I will start the assessment of Li Jianguo right away. They are all my own people, so don't worry. Deputy Factory Director Li is going to take Director Yi away. After all, there is still a silly pillar tied up in the office. The reason why Silly Zhu assaulted Deputy Factory Director Li was to take advantage of female workers. Director Yi is also a human spirit. After all, we will have to deal with Deputy Factory Director Li in the future. Patting Li Jianguo's arm, Director Yi smiled and said. Listen carefully to Deputy Factory Director Li's instructions. Li Jianguo nodded without saying much. Director Yi quickly left and even closed the door. Suddenly, Deputy Factory Director Li changed his face. Silly pillar, how dare you, a cook, come and be arrogant in front of me. Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Silly Zhu's mouth was blocked, and he could only whimper and look fiercely at Deputy Factory Director Li. Deputy Factory Director Li immediately stepped over. Believe it or not, I opened you. Vice Factory Director Li sat down on a chair, took a sip of water from an enamel cup, and pondered for a moment. Immediately, he slowly looked at Li Jianguo and said. Jianguo, welcome to join the security department of Red Star Steel Rolling Plant as a security clerk. The salary is 36.800 yuan, divided into 2 rooms. I will take you to handle the onboarding procedures later, get the house key, give you 2 days to tidy up, and report directly to the security department after completing the task. Li Jianguo's heart was filled with joy as he hurriedly said. Thank you very much, Deputy Factory Director Li. Deputy Factory Director Li nodded, lightly tapping the table with his fingers, and his gaze fixed on Silly Pillar. Continue. This person doesn't have many rules. Jianguo, my safety will depend on you from now on. Li Jianguo understood. Deputy Factory Director Li, is there a handle in the hands of the foolish pillar? I still dare not open a silly pillar. But it's exactly what he wants. Suddenly, Li Jianguo said. Don't worry, Factory Director. I will take care of you thoroughly. Deputy Factory Director Li nodded in satisfaction and looked at Silly Zhu with a murderous gaze. Kid, I'll teach you a lesson today. What should be said and what should not be said, weigh it with me. Next time, I'm not that lucky. Deputy Factory Director Li instructed Li Jianguo to beat up the foolish pillar and tie him up for another day to teach him a lesson. However, be careful when acting. Li Jianguo instantly understood. Anyway, it's already settled, let's make the storm even more intense. Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Negative emotions plus 500. Negative emotions plus 1000. Silly Zhu was beaten and screamed in agony. Li Jianguo listened to the system's prompts incredibly pleasing to the ear. Redeem once, no, 3 times. Ding, the prize has been successfully redeemed. Congratulations to the host for receiving a reward of 20 pounds of grain coupons. Congratulations to the host for receiving a reward of 20 yuan. Congratulations to the host for receiving a reward of 1 honeycomb coal stove. Vice Factory Director Li saw the unconscious silly pillar with a satisfied smile on his face. After throwing the silly pillar into a corner, Deputy Factory Director Li took Li Jianguo through the onboarding procedures, obtained work clothes and labor protection, and went to get the house keys. Li Jianguo glanced at the house assigned to him, located at the Red Star Courtyard in Nanluogu Lane, a side house in the middle courtyard. Good guy. Surprisingly, they were assigned to a courtyard full of animals and animals. He is still a neighbor to Silly Zhu. Li Jianguo's gaze turned to the smiling Deputy Factory Director Li. Intuition, this is also an old-in ratio. At this moment, Deputy Factory Director Li stepped forward, patted Li Jianguo's arm, and smiled as he spoke. Jianguo, work hard, I won't treat you unfairly. Li Jianguo remained noncommittal. But at this moment, he didn't say much. Next, Li Jianguo went back to Director Yi with the entry procedures and went to apply for household registration and grain allowance. 2 notebooks are in hand, Director Yi smiled and said. Jianguo, congratulations. If you have anything to do in the future, just come to the street and find me. Yaya smiled and said, Auntie, we will come back to see you often. Li Jianguo also said, Auntie, if you have any instructions, come to the courtyard and call me. Director Yi is very satisfied, they are not children who forget their roots. Stop talking and go back. The houses allocated in the factory also need to be tidied up in order to accommodate people. Jianguo, work hard at the steel rolling mill. Li Jianguo nodded, but did not continue the pleasantries. I have tidied up some things from Yaya and a few worn-out clothes to change. Li Jianguo walked out of the rescue station with Yaya. Yaya, we have a home now. Li Jianguo smiled and said. Yaya sweetly leaned on Li Jianguo, her eyes full of admiration. Brother is the most amazing. Li Jianguo smiled at the corners of his mouth, didn't say much, and headed straight to the courtyard with elegance. Brother, this place looks so big, there should be quite a few residents. When the two arrived at the courtyard, Yaya excitedly spoke up. There are over 30 households and 100 people living in this courtyard, not many. However, before Li Jianguo could speak up, someone spoke up. Are you guys? Li Jianguo looked up and saw a skinny monkey wearing glasses standing at the door. Li Jianguo knew that this was the cunning third uncle Yan Bugui. So Li Jianguo said, Hello, we are new residents who have moved in. My name is Li Jianguo, and this is my daughter.in-law Yaya. Yan Bugui widened his eyes. New resident, living in a side house in the courtyard. Li Jianguo nodded and asked, Is there any problem? The 2 rooms in the courtyard were only vacated a few years ago, with the wing room next to the Jia family and the ear room next to the Silly Zhu family. After the previous residents moved out, Zhang spoke up and took a liking to those 2 rooms. The Jia family only has 1 urban household registration, Jia Dongshu, and is only divided into 1 room. However, they have a large family, with Jia Dongshu and Qin Huairu as a couple, their mother Jia Zhang, and a child. Now that Qin Huairu has another one, they cannot live in it. The house was suddenly allocated to someone else. Yan Bugui looked at Li Jianguo and Yaya. A little boy and a little girl. Now there's a good show to watch. His family has a large population, and the children are growing up one after another, making it difficult for them to live in the house. He also wants to divide the house in a courtyard house. But Yan Bugui can be stable and remain calm. Smiling and saying. It's okay, it's okay. I'm the resident and manager of the front yard, and everyone calls me Sandiyi. Welcome to stay in the courtyard. Li Jianguo didn't say much and brought Yaya into the yard. Arrive at the west wing of the courtyard. Li Jianguo opened the door with a key and entered the house. The house is not big, with a main house of about 30 square meters and an ear room of about 10 square meters. Currently, it is affordable. But there isn't much furniture in the room, there's still a lot to buy. Although the house is simple, there is finally a home. Yaya immediately rolled up her sleeves and said. Brother, I'll tidy up our house first. After speaking, the little girl immediately threw herself into battle. Li Jianguo also started laughing. But at this moment, angry curses sounded outside the door. Which bastard has entered my house? Get out of my mother's house. Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. P.S. Ding, the wealth management system has been activated. Fathers who invest in various data are getting rich. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Siheyuan is the source of happiness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhang crossed her waist and walked into the west wing, kicking her with 1 foot and storming into the room. Immediately, Triangle Eye stared fiercely at Li Jianguo and Yaya. What are you people, why are you running into my house? Get out of here. Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Negative emotions plus 500. Li Jianguo squinted his eyes. If he guesses correctly, this person is just messing around with Jia and Zhang. Emotional fluctuations are so great. I think this old lady misses this house, but now her dreams are shattered and she is anxious. Li Jianguo remained silent, but Yaya stood up. Who are you? This room was allocated to us by the steel rolling mill, how could it become your home? Do you have a key to your house? Does Fangben have it? What empty talk? Ding. Negative emotions plus 1000. Zhang glared fiercely at Yaya and Li Jianguo. Little beast, I don't care who you are. This is my house. Get out of here. Li Jianguo's face immediately changed. This old lady still wants to grab a house. At this moment, a figure suddenly drifted by. Pop. A loud slap sounded in the face. Old lady, keep your mouth clean. Ding. Negative emotions plus 500. Negative emotions plus 1000. Li Jianguo was shocked. Neglecting the sudden surge of negative emotions. Looking up at the originally weak and pitiful little daughter.In.Law. Why is this different from before? Everyone dares to hit someone. However, Zhang should fight. The old man's mouth is too dirty. Suddenly, Li Jianguo protected Yaya behind him and looked at Zhang with a cold expression. Old lady, get out of here. Zhang is used to being king and dominating, and has always been reckless and shameless. No one dares to provoke him in this courtyard. And at this moment, he was actually beaten. She was stunned. Li Jianguo's voice rang out, and it was only then that he realized it. His face suddenly became extremely gloomy, and he jumped up and rushed towards Li Jianguo. Little bastard, how dare you hit me? I'm fighting with you. Li Jianguo saw that today's matter was not over. Coincidentally, I had a surgery on Jia and Zhang, so as not to bully my daughter.In.Law when I go to work in the future. Just as Li Jianguo thought about it, Yaya rushed out from behind. My mouth is too dirty and I'm still fussing around, thinking I'm afraid of you. Yaya pounced and knocked Zhang down to the ground. Immediately, the whole person rode onto her body, reached out and grabbed the collar, then clenched their small fists. Say, do you keep your mouth clean? Believe it or not, I'll smash it for you. Yaya reached out and tugged at Zhang's hair, showing her teeth like a little tiger. Are you still looking for trouble? Ding. Negative emotions plus 500. Negative emotions plus 500. Zhang was directly suppressed and unable to move. Good guy, my emotions are going crazy. Li Jianguo is still worried about Yaya being bullied. But the situation in front of him indicates that his concerns are completely unnecessary. This little daughter.In.Law is not afraid of anything. This sturdy little appearance is quite cute. Especially, this negative emotion is skyrocketing. This can redeem many prizes. It seems that living in this courtyard house is quite nice. Li Jianguo stood still, leisurely watching the play. Yaya grabbed Zhang's collar, her hair scattered, and she clenched her small fist with a fierce expression on her face. Speaking, are you still here to cause trouble? Zhang had a fierce expression on her face, but she was weak at the moment and dared not confront her forcefully. So we could only stir and tangle up recklessly. Bullying the elderly, the little girl is bullying the elderly. Everyone, come and evaluate. Our family is divided equally. Honestly, my family's Dongshu is still an advanced figure. The steel rolling mill bullies people, and if they don't share the house with us, it's okay. The little girl also bullies people. I won't live anymore. This is Zhang's usual trick. If you can't fight or scold, you start to mess around and pester. Dare to hit her, today she's causing trouble and they can't stay in this courtyard anymore. Zhang's eyes emitted a hint of poison. Li Jianguo has watched TV dramas and knows what kind of character this old lady is. Seeing her thoughts, her eyes turned cold. Immediately, he strode over and closed the open door, then turned around and said to Yaya. Shut her mouth. Let's shut the door and beat the dog. Yaya took out a piece of rags from the bundle and began to feel distressed. Old man, it's cheaper for you. This is my change of clothes. In the next moment, Zhang's mouth was blocked. Li Jianguo arrived in front of Zhang, his eyes emitting a cold light. Zhang trembled a bit at first glance, and his eyes became frightened. Old lady, if you say you can't live in your house, then our gods and ghosts will kill you without realizing it, and then we will destroy your body and ruin everything. Is your house spacious? Ding. Negative emotions plus 500. Negative emotions plus 1000. Zhang, this old lady, is really a source of happiness. Li Jianguo almost burst out laughing. At this moment, Yaya despised the way. Brother, she wet her pants. How disgusting. Indeed disgusting, Li Jianguo's face was full of disgust. He lifted Jia and Zhang up, opened the door, and politely threw them out. If you dare to cause trouble again, it will really kill you. Letting out harsh words, Li Jianguo comforted Yadeo. Urine brings wealth, it seems we're going to get rich. Yaya, you tidy up the house, I'll go buy daily necessities and get some food. Our days will definitely get better and better in the future. Yaya nodded obediently and said sweetly. Brother, don't worry, I will definitely clean up our house. The little girl has regained her delicate and obedient appearance. The contrast is quite large. Li Jianguo smiled and clapped his hands as he walked out. Zhang has already slipped away. Li Jianguo actually saw Yan Bugui hiding at the hanging flower gate, watching the excitement. With a sneer, Li Jianguo spoke out. Does Mr. San have a habit of peeping? Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Yan Bugui's face turned green as he was caught stealing a peek on the spot. Glancing at Li Jianguo, he turned around and left. Li Jianguo snorted lightly and followed out of the courtyard. System, how many times can I redeem the prize? Li Jianguo walked and said in his heart. Ding, the emotional balance is 5630. Oh, it can be redeemed 5 times. This courtyard is indeed his source of happiness. Li Jianguo laughed and spoke in his heart. Redeem 5 times. Ding. The prize has been successfully redeemed. Congratulations to the host for receiving a reward of 1 300 square meter villa. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the reward of divine level culinary skills. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the reward automatic fertilizer device. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the reward automatic harvesting device. Congratulations to the host for receiving a reward of 1 red underpants. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Harvest. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Red bitter tea seeds. Warding off evil spirits. I can still exchange this kind of reward, the system is too cunning. Li Jianguo said it's funny. But he was quite satisfied with the 300 square meter Debye and other rewards. Is Debye a reward in your personal space? Li Jianguo was quite curious, so he found a hidden place and then flashed into his personal space. The personal space has already stood up in a grand mansion, with luxurious decoration that allows for direct check.in. In the previous life, I struggled for most of my life and only bought a house of less than 80 square meters after emptying my family, and I didn't even have money for decoration. This great farewell made Li Jianguo's heart and mind ripple. In future generations, he will also create such a great wilderness in the outside world. Li Jianguo secretly swore. The rice and wheat planted in the personal space have grown up, and the automatic fertilizer device has also come in handy. Soon, these 10 acres of land will be harvested. Li Jianguo walked around the field and grinned, full of confidence. After wandering around, Li Jianguo plunged into the forest. There are plenty of wild animals in the forest, such as cows, chickens, rabbits, pigs, deer, and even bison. There is no need to worry about oil and water. Li Jianguo casually shot a few wild rabbits, caught a few wild chickens, and also dug out all the eggs in the chicken coop. My daughter-in-law is relatively thin and needs to be replenished more. The wife and children should make up for it more, and it is oneself who enjoys happiness. Wild chickens are alive, they are all hens. When they are raised, they will lay eggs, so that the daughter-in-law will have eggs to eat every day. Meat is not lacking, the next step is to purchase daily necessities. Li Jianguo dodged out of his personal space and walked to Dongdan Agricultural Market. These days, everyone needs tickets to buy things. Fortunately, when applying for employment, the steel rolling mill allocated some tickets for daily necessities, and with the addition of a 20-pound grain ticket for prize redemption, Li Jianguo exchanged food for it. Later, he also bought pots, bowls, ladles, cotton quilts, honeycomb coal, and other things. On the way back to the courtyard, Li Jianguo took out wild chickens and rabbits, and carried 2 large bags of things back to the courtyard. As soon as I entered the front yard, I met Yan Bugue, who was drying pickled Chinese cabbage. Yan Bugue looked at Li Jianguo and exclaimed in surprise. "Ah, Li Jianguo, buying so many things. Wow, wild chicken and wild rabbit, have you left the city?" "No, it takes 3 or 4 hours to go back and forth from the city, and you have to enter the mountains to catch the prey. You only need to leave the courtyard for a maximum of 2 hours. Yan Bugue looked up and looked seriously at Li Jianguo. "Li Jianguo, you made a mistake. Go to my house and talk about the origin of these things. If you can't say it clearly, then you can do it." Yan Bugue squinted his eyes and his face was full of calculations. Li Jianguo rolled his eyes. Yan Bugue watched as his prey, Hala Zi, was about to flow out. Go to his house. Haha, even the mountain village where the abacus is located can hear the sound. He dares to bring back his prey, so he's not afraid anymore. Li Jianguo smiled and said. Uncle San, I dare not make mistakes. These prey were all captured by me before and placed in the rescue station. Director Yi of the street can testify. When Li Jianguo was at the rescue station, he used the excuse of going out of the city to hunt and made a lot of prey for tooth hunting. Nowadays, everyone is lacking in words. Director Yi has gained a lot of praise from Li Jianguo, which is also one of the reasons why she is good to him. In the eyes of Director Yi and others, the source of Li Jianguo's prey is certainly legal. After speaking, Li Jianguo ignored Yan Bugue and walked straight inside. Yan Bugue hurriedly stepped forward again and stopped Li Jianguo road. Jianguo, you just moved here, don't you have a honeycomb coal stove yet? Why don't you come to my house? I'll have your 3 aunties boil water for you to deal with these things. Let's have a braised stew later. How about we have another drink? Yan Bugue is persistently fighting, and he just wants to have a tooth sacrifice. Li Jianguo won't get used to him. He doesn't want to drink his fake wine that has been mixed countless times. No need, Uncle San. We have a honeycomb coal stove at home, which Director Yi sent. It will arrive soon. Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Yan Bugue's teeth itch with hatred when he sees that Li Jianguo's oil and salt are not entering. 7 or 8 wild rabbits and a few fresh wild chickens, it looks like they can still lay eggs. It would be great if they were given to themselves. Yan Bugue did not give up and followed him to the hanging flower gate. Jianguo, let me remind you that your family offended the Jia and Zhang families as soon as they moved in. This is a trouble. Uncle San is easy to talk to. If you take it out. Our family can't take out anything. Grandpa, are you blocking my brother to rob? I'm going to shout someone. Negative emotions plus 100. A crisp and elegant voice sounded on the side. Li Jianguo looked up and was almost amused by the little flower cat. The reason for cleaning was that dust fell on her face. Yaya had a gray and dusty face, but her eyes were particularly agile, emitting a cunning light. Coming over to share some weight with Li Jianguo, he immediately stared at Yan Bugui with an unfriendly expression on his face. Yan Bugui's choked old face turned black. He is a grandiose 3-year-old man, rumored to be blocking the way and robbing, but he still wants to save face. These two newly moved in are simply despicable. Humph. Yan Bugui was so angry that he turned around and left. Yaya clenched her small fist at Yan Bugui's back and turned her head to look at Li Jianguo, her face full of charming and adorable features. Brother, I cleaned all the rooms once. The ant next door gave me mugwort sticks, and I even smoked the room once, so there was no smell left. Li Jianguo and Yaya entered the room, emitting the scent of mugwort leaves. Upon closer inspection, the room was already clean and tidy, and the heated kang had been vacated, indicating that the little daughter.in.law was quite diligent. Li Jianguo put a bunch of things together and said with satisfaction. I'll make you something delicious later. Yaya smiled excitedly and said, then I'll have braised rabbits. No problem, would you like another pot of chicken soup with noodles? Okay, brother is the best. Boo. Yaya pounced into Li Jianguo's arms and gave him a heavy kiss. After finishing the task, my face turned red. Brother, I'll go make the bed. Li Jianguo had a wicked smile on her face. Well, I understand now. Soft and gentle, I'm afraid you're not feeling well. The little daughter.in.law's face visibly turned red again. Li Jianguo is in a happy mood. After putting the things away, the person who made the mold went outside and brought the honeycomb coal stove back into the house. After burning the stove, the room gradually became filled with smoke and fire. It's time to finish work. The people who work outside the courtyard also returned one after another. Laundriers, cooks, chatterers, and runners gradually become lively. Zhang's cat is almost visible through its own window. When he saw Zhonghai and his son Jia Dongshu returning together, his eyes lit up and he immediately rushed out. Lao Yi, my son smashed it. My room has been occupied by someone and I almost got killed. Come with me and get it back. Pulling the two people from left to right without saying a word, they arrived at the entrance of Li Jianguo. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Conflict. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In public, a widow named Zhang grabbed her hand. Zhonghai's blush and hurriedly pulled it away, staring at Zhang seriously. What are you doing, sister.in.law? Pay attention to the impact. Zhonghai looked left and right, tidied up his clothes, and distanced himself from Zhang. Zhang curled her mouth and rolled her eyes. It's not that I haven't touched it before, it's pretentious. Zhang said speechlessly. This is not important. Lao Yi, you are the master of our Dongshu family. You have to stand on our side, right? Our house has been occupied and our eyebrows are burning. Come with me quickly and drive those two little bastards out. Zhonghai and Jia Dongshu were dragged to the entrance of Li Jianguo to find out that the house had been allocated to outsiders. The Jia family has a large population, and not only the Jia and Zhang families are concerned about these two houses, but also Jia Dongshu. He is already married, and his mother and children are still in the same house. It's inconvenient for him to make excuses with his wife every time he moves at night. If the house is divided among others, his plans will be in vain. Jia Dongshu was also anxious and quickly spoke up. Master, you promised me that this house can be allocated to our family. Zhonghai recruited Jia Dongxiu as his disciple with a purpose, in order to provide retirement for his elderly couple. It is not easy for Haosheng to cultivate a retirement partner, and Zhonghai is extremely tolerant of Jia Dongxiu. He also planned to fight for these 2 rooms for the Jia family. But now it has been allocated to someone else. During the conversation, Zhang had already gone over and kicked the door. "Little bastard, get out and move your house. This is my house." Zhonghai's lips twitched. Zhang is also too direct. But Zhonghai remained silent. "I still need to give this face. Brother, that shameless old witch has arrived." Yaya carried a bowl of dirty water and angrily went over to open the door. Li Jianguo was dealing with wild rabbits, his hands were covered in a bloody smell. After washing his hands, Yaya had already opened the door and left. Arriving at the door, Yaya politely spoke up. "Where did the dog come from? It's barking and making a lot of noise." Ding. Negative emotions plus 100. Negative emotions plus 200. After speaking, he splashed out the water from the enamel basin in his hand with 1 bone. Ding. Negative emotions plus 500. A basin of water that had wiped the floor poured all over Zhang's body, covering his face and head. Jia Dongxiu and Zhonghai on the side were also not spared. The 3 of them were immediately in a state of embarrassment. People are all confused. At this moment, an exaggerated voice sounded. "Ah. I'm sorry, I thought a wild dog came to our doorstep, but I didn't expect it to be a human. Are you okay?" Although that's the case, the daughter-in-law has no intention of apologizing at all. Staring intently at the 3 people in front of him, Li Jianguo wiped his hands and couldn't help but raise his lips. "Quietly give a thumbs up to my daughter-in-law." At this moment, Zhang regained consciousness. Wiped some water off his face, pounced forward, and shouted. "Little bitch, I'm fighting with you." Li Jianguo quietly lifted his legs. Puff. Zhang knelt down in front of his daughter-in-law with a dog gnawing on feces. Yaya was startled by her posturing and spoke in surprise. "Auntie, why did you start paying New Year's greetings before the Chinese New Year? But I don't have a red envelope." Zhang's forehead was torn, and she felt like her body was scattered. Upon hearing Yaya's words, Lao Shui almost vomited. Only angry and shouting. "Dongxiu, hit me, kill this dead girl. Beat them to death and throw them out, this house is ours. Oh hey, I broke my waist. Kill them." Upon hearing this, Jia Dongxiu's face darkened and he rolled up his sleeves, ready to take action. Li Jianguo sneered and spoke directly. "What, are you guys grabbing a house?" Before Li Jianguo could continue, Yaya shouted loudly. "Help, come here quickly. We're robbing, we're robbing." Zhonghai's face suddenly darkened. Staring at Li Jianguo and Yaya Dao. "Shut up, I'm the steward of this courtyard. If you have something to do, tell me what's going on." Zhonghai recognized Li Jianguo. "I dare not act rashly." Yaya is not satisfied. It's not that they're causing trouble. So he shouted even more joyfully. "Robbed, the steward also robbed, help me. It's a bustling time in the courtyard. There are already many people in the courtyard. The incident of Zhang's disturbance has long been noticed by someone." Yaya's shout startled everyone in the front, middle, and backyards. Quickly, wearing a blue shirt and jacket, the plump bangs came over with hands behind their backs, posing for the score. "I said, what happened? I heard shouting as soon as I entered the yard." Glancing at Li Jianguo and Yaya. Glancing at the room behind me again. Middle of the bangs. New residents. How come it doesn't stop? At this moment, Yan Bugue emerged from the crowd and glared at Li Jianguo. "As a witness, it's not about stopping. I've been tinkering all afternoon. Our quadrangle is united and friendly, with annual evaluations of advanced. Don't let any mouse droppings come. Ding. Negative emotions plus 1000. At this moment, Zhang seemed to have found a backing again. The shouting is even more joyful. Drive them out of the courtyard. Lu Haizhong, Yan Bugui, and Zhonghai all looked calmly at Li Jianguo and Yaya. At this moment, a gentle-looking woman in the crowd spoke up. Zhang, it should be you who keeps going. The house has been allocated to others, and you're still bothering the two children. If you have the ability, go to the steel rolling mill and make trouble. Don't bully the two children. It was not easy for them to settle down in a courtyard after fleeing from famine. Speaking, he looked at Zhonghai again. Grandpa do you think so? The speaker was Song Tsuexiang from the south wing, who was delivering mugwort sticks to Yaya's woman. Zhonghai glared at Song Tsuexiang and thought to himself, what are you meddling in? Zhang couldn't bear it anymore. Standing up, she spat at Song Tsuexiang. It's none of your business. They escaped from the wilderness, are they compatible with this house? I have applied several times, and this room should belong to my family. Lao Yi, you have already booked the house, so you will definitely be able to share it with our family. Zhonghai suddenly choked up. He has booked a ticket before, but he has applied many times and it was said that it does not comply with the housing allocation policy, so he was refunded. What he thought was that when he helped Dongxiu pass the level 3 assessment, he would come forward and ask the factory for it. But before we could even wait, the house was divided up. It's also speechless. Why are there so many things happening to these refugees? You can encounter it anywhere. Zhonghai frowned and remained silent. Yan Bugui, with his bangs, people's minds became more open. Turns out to be a refugee. Immigrant population. In the courtyard, they are the ones who decide. At this moment, after a moment of contemplation, Zhonghai spoke out. Everyone is here. Let me say a few words and come up with an idea to resolve our conflict today. As is well known, the Jia family now has 4 members, and if Qin Huairu is pregnant again, there will be 5 members in the future. It's really not possible to squeeze together. New residents, are you just 2 people? Zhonghai looked at Li Jianguo. But without anyone to speak, he continued. It's not suitable for you two to live so wide. So, you can first change rooms with the Jia family. You stay with the Jia family, they move into the west wing and live together with the auxiliary room. How's it going? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Changing Houses. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How about saying that Zhonghai is an old in comparison? Looking at the idea, Zhang immediately nodded in satisfaction. That's a good idea. Just the 2 of you, you're still from the wilderness. Should we live in such a spacious house? After speaking, he turned to Jia Dongxiu and said. Go back and ask Huairu to pack up, let's move immediately. It seems like Li Jianguo has already agreed to change houses. At this moment, Yaya was already clenching her small fist and was about to lose control of her anger. Li Jianguo caught her. Deal with Zhonghai and return him. Li Jianguo smiled and looked at Zhonghai Road. You are the first master of the courtyard, right? I heard that you have no children, only the 2 of you, an elderly couple. Ding, negative emotions plus 100. Zhonghai's face turned black. This kid doesn't talk about martial arts, he secretly says that he is an old spendthrift. However, before Zhonghai had a chance to act, Li Jianguo had already spoken again. There are only 2 people in your family, and the house is even wider than mine. They are already quite old, and their children's problems are also beyond our control. We are different in this regard. How about we also change houses? My wife and I moved to your house. I heard that Grandpa E is usually very helpful. Today, he also wants to help the Jia family. If you exchange the house with me, I will also exchange it with the Jia family. It's very suitable for you and Aunt E to live in the Jia family's house. What do everyone think? Li Jianguo's gaze turned to everyone. The little daughter.in.law immediately applauded with applause. That's a good idea. I agreed to change rooms. Ding, negative emotions plus 200. Zhonghai's face immediately turned black. The others were also dumbfounded. Zhonghai is usually upright and respected, and no one dares to refute what he says. I didn't expect someone to do the opposite for him today. Not only that, but he also needs to change rooms. Suddenly, in the midst of the bangs, Yan Bugue and others stopped speaking and silently watched the good play. Everyone wants to get a share of these 2 rooms. Why is Lao Yi only thinking about the Jia family? Let's see how he ends now. The people in the courtyard can be said to have their own thoughts. However, Li Jianguo doesn't care so much. He is good at stirring up discord. Go straight ahead. If you really want to help the Jia family, you can come up with something practical and move directly to the Jia family's house. Let the Jia family move to your house. You need to handle this matter early, there's no conflict today. Do you think so, big guy? A group of people actually felt that what Li Jianguo said made sense. Especially the Jia and Zhang families, they were directly skewed. Looking at Zhonghai, he spoke rudely. Lao Yi, you are not kind. You are a typical person who occupies the pit and doesn't defecate. The room is so spacious and you didn't change rooms with our family early. Dong Su should have changed when he got married, which caused our family to squeeze for so long. It's really unfair. Ding, negative emotions plus 100. Zhonghai almost vomited old blood from his mouth. It was his fault for not changing rooms in time. Dongshu did not hesitate to contribute to his marriage. Over the years, I have also helped their family a lot. Zhang is really a white-eyed wolf. With Li Jianguo's words, Zhonghai felt a bit overwhelmed. I don't know how to speak. Fortunately, at this moment Jia Dongshu spoke up. Escaping the famine, what we're talking about is that you and our family will exchange houses. Don't talk about my master, our family will exchange with you. Zhonghai nodded satisfactorily at Jia Dongshu. It's not in vain to train him as a retirement candidate. Li Jianguo's face turned cold. Who are you? If you want to exchange with my family, I have to exchange with you. What's going on? To be honest, this house was allocated to our family by the steel rolling mill. If you want to change houses, you can agree to it. I don't need to discuss anything else. Alright, let's just leave if it's okay. We're busy. Yaya, let's go back to the house. Jia Dongshu clenched his fists and looked at Li Jianguo, eager to pounce. Zhonghai can tell that this new resident is not easy to provoke. You can tell from his easy grasp of the silly pillar. Zhonghai winked at Jia Dongshu. Jia Dongshu was unwilling in his heart, but he could only give up. He knew in his heart that it was definitely not possible for his master to change rooms, and he had to think of other ways. He must get this house. Li Jianguo took Yaya back to the house, and the others dispersed in small groups when they didn't see the excitement. But they all started calculating in their hearts. Master, I'm not willing to accept it. Why should that room be divided among the refugees? Jia Dongshu looked at Zhonghai without any concealment. Zhonghai also had a headache and could only console himself. Hello, prepare for the exam. I'll come up with a solution for the house. Jia Dongshu remained silent. Simply put, it's so easy to take the CET.3 exam. Backyard. As soon as Lu Haizhong entered the room, Aunt Air couldn't wait to say. The head of the family, is that kid from the middle courtyard really a fugitive? That needs to be carefully handled. You are the second uncle in this courtyard, he dares not respect you. We should also have a share of that house, and then let the boss get married. Nodding in the middle of the bangs. Tomorrow I'll think of a way to kick them out. Several households in the courtyard are all planning to build a house. It's just a fugitive, it's not even suitable for their courtyard house. Li Jianguo is not sure, because their identity as refugees has caught the attention of the people in the courtyard. Returning to the house, busy with preparing food, I made braised rabbits, boiled chicken soup, and even pulled out a pot of noodles. I used the noodles directly from the chicken soup, which were incredibly fragrant. After a while, the entire courtyard emitted a fragrance. Jia, the stick meme just started rolling. It smells good, I want to eat meat, I want to eat meat. As soon as Zhang saw that the obedient grandson had made a scene, his face sank and he cursed loudly. I'm going to die and poison myself. It's not about eating meat during the Chinese New Year. I can't make it through. Qinhuairu, didn't you see your son causing trouble? Go and ask those two fugitives for a bowl of meat. Qinhuairu is just pregnant and cooking now. Upon hearing this, my face was filled with helplessness. Mom, you can't be so accustomed to stick jokes. Zhang's face sank and he glared fiercely at Qinhuairu. Are you such a mother? Your son is starving to death, so don't give him any food. The stick meme became even more joyful upon hearing it. I'm starving to death, my mother is going to starve me to death. If Qinhuai had no choice, he quickly took a bowl and went out. At this moment, on the side of the hanging flower gate, Silly Pillar walked in dejected. Qinhuai's eyes lit up as he looked at it. Silly Pillar, have you come back? Qinhuai leaned over and looked behind the Silly Pillar. Silly Pillar with a blue nose and swollen face, Qinhuairu didn't even look. Silly Zhu raised his hands and said. Qinjia, there's no lunch box today. Upon hearing this, Qinhuai's face was filled with disappointment as he turned and walked towards the entrance of Li Jianguo. Then I'll go borrow some, it's a joke. Silly Zhu immediately chased after him. Who's going to borrow it from? No, the new residents who have moved in. As the words fell, Qinhuai knocked on Li Jianguo's door. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Sorry for the fury. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Silly Zhu leaned over and said in confusion. Are people living here? Isn't your family applying for this house? Qinhuai felt somewhat helpless. She knew about the previous conflict and was pregnant, so she didn't dare to come out and join the fun. Regarding the matter of the house, Dongshu should come up with a solution. Currently, the main focus is on borrowing meat, and the child named Bang Ji will make a big fuss if he doesn't eat the meat. Just moved in, I heard it's a refugee. The house has already been divided, and I don't know what to do. Qinhuai sighed like a sigh. Upon hearing this, Silly Zhu's face turned black. Have you been in conflict with the refugees recently? They are everywhere. It's okay if my wife was robbed. Today, I was beaten up by the fugitive, and the one who moved next door is still a fugitive. Silly Zhu unconsciously thought of Li Jianguo, his face turning black. At this moment, the door opened. What's up? Li Jianguo and Yaya have just finished their meal. They swept away all the noodles in braised rabbit chicken soup. The two of them had their first full meal in so long, and after finishing it, they were both very satisfied. After eating and drinking enough, Li Jianguo's face softened a lot. After the door opened, I saw a woman with a fair face and a round figure, and immediately knew that she was Qinhuairu, a prosperous white lotus from a courtyard house. Li Jianguo was not much surprised. Qin Huairu, who has been a fool for a lifetime, is just like that, not as beautiful as his daughter.In.Law. Li Jianguo was not surprised, but Qin Huai was momentarily stunned. I didn't expect this new resident to be quite handsome, especially tall and strong. Qin Huairu's face turned red for a moment, and he remembered his purpose for coming. He quickly spoke up. I am the daughter.In.Law of the Jia family next door to you. The child smells your family's meat and is greedy. Can you lend her a bowl? As soon as Qin Huai finished speaking, the sound of silly pillars roaring began. Wang Bao Lao Zi's enemies have narrow paths, why did I kill you? Ding, negative emotions plus 100. Silly Zhu clenched his fist and rushed towards Li Jianguo. Li Jianguo raised his eyebrows and kicked the silly pillar with a flying kick. Suddenly, silly Zhu was kicked away. Bang! Silly pillar fell heavily to the ground, splashing dust. Ding! Negative emotions plus 1000. Qin Huai was dumbfounded. A few people suddenly emerged from the courtyard to watch the excitement. But they were all stunned. Jia Dongshu just crawled out of Zhonghai's house and was also dumbfounded. The atmosphere came to a standstill. At this moment, silly Zhu howled. Oh my grandson, my waist is so bent. I'm fighting with you. Ding. Negative emotions plus 200. Pillar, what's going on? Zhonghai came out of the house and quickly went over to help silly pillar. Jia Dongshu pointed at Li Jianguo, his face full of fear. He kicked him. Words are not easy to say, coward. Ding. Negative emotions plus 500. Zhonghai glared at Li Jianguo and directly challenged him. Beat people in the courtyard at will. Believe it or not, I will report to the Military Control Commission and arrest you to transform and kill you. It's really scary. Li Jianguo snorted coldly. He'll take action first. I belong to self-defense, so I'm sorry for getting angry. Although that's the case, there's no shame at all. Zhonghai's eyes became even more ferocious with anger. This newcomer is clearly not good at it. I can't hold it steady. At this moment, silly Zhu spoke again. Grandpa let's just snatch my daughter.In.Law with this thing. He even followed Li Weiman's orders and tied me up in the factory for a day. I am so at odds with him. Ding. Negative emotions plus 1000. Anger fills the sky. Li Jianguo smiled and said leisurely. Silly pillar, it's just right to tie you up. When your cook and deputy factory director Li scolded you, tying you up for a day can be considered easy. Upon hearing this, Zhonghai finally understood something. Immediately, he spoke with a calm face. New here, everyone is neighbors. Don't narrow your path, there will be times when you suffer losses in the future. After finishing speaking, he glared at Li Jianguo before calling Jia Dongshu to carry the silly pillar into the house. Silly Zhu screamed and screamed incessantly. Ding. Negative emotions plus 1000. Li Jianguo, we're not finished. Li Jianguo shrugged his shoulders and looked fearless. What about the quadrangle war god? He can't even catch a single move. Waste. Li Jianguo turned around and prepared to enter the house. At first glance, he saw that Qin Huairu had not yet left. Raising an eyebrow, Li Jianguo spoke up. What are you doing here? Qin Huai blushed like a face. I haven't borrowed the meat yet, and when I go back, I'll have to be scolded by my mother.In.Law. The stick is still shouting. So, Qin Huai smiled and spoke with a thick face. Brother Jianguo, please be kind and lend me a bowl of meat, the child is still crying. The carved door was halfway opened, and the little daughter.In.Law crawled out. Yaya pulled Li Jianguo behind her and then looked at Qin Huairu with an unfriendly expression. Who should we call, brother? Don't get too close to my brother. Your child's crying has nothing to do with us. Not long ago, he came to our house to rob, and now he's coming to borrow meat. You have a lot to do with your family. Walk around, don't block my house, like a doorkeeper, unlucky. The little daughter.In.Law gave a loud scolding, and Qin Huai's face turned green. Embarrassed to the point of wanting to find a burrow, my eyes turned red. Looking pitifully at Li Jianguo. Bang dang. Yaya slammed the door and pulled Li Jianguo back to the house. Qin Huai's face turned green and white. Finally, he sighed and returned to the room. Zhang pulled at the window and saw Qin Huai returning home like a defeated feather, feeling extremely disgusted. I can't even borrow meat, I know how to eat and eat all day long. Dongshu really married a useless person and walked in. Qin Huai was like tears streaming out. Helpless way. Mom, you only went to make trouble this afternoon. Even if there is meat in their house, they won't lend it out. Zhang's face darkened, and she held hands and cursed the sky and the earth on the side. The stick meme started to stir up again. I want to eat meat, I want to eat meat now. Humph, if you don't give me something to eat, I'll do it myself. After speaking, he lifted the door curtain and crawled out. Although the stick meme is only over 6 years old, the potential of the thief saint has already begun to emerge. After coming out of the Jia family, the cat went outside the north wing room. Inside, Li Jianguo is lying down to rest. Yaya boiled hot water to come and scrub Li Jianguo. Brother, these people are really bad. Seeing us fleeing from the wilderness and feeling helpless, they want to bully us. Not really. There is no good person in a courtyard house. Li Jianguo thought for a moment. He has to go to work and can't keep an eye on his wife all the time. He needs to find a support for him. Let's talk about this tomorrow. I moved to a new house, although it's still a deserted house, at least it's my own. Even if I change it, the furniture will be neatly arranged. We have to celebrate today. Li Jianguo hugged his little daughter.In.Law and rolled directly into the quilt. Bang Ji has been dozing off for 2 sessions, shivering with cold. There was finally no movement in the room. I don't know what's going on either. It's similar to the sound they make in the middle of the night at home. I'm so annoyed that I almost froze him to death. Fortunately, it has been resolved. Tonight, let's see if he doesn't steal all the money from their house. Bang Gung carefully flipped over the window and bounced his feet to the ground. Brother, there's a sound. P.S. Just a weak question, has anyone seen it? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.